Hey, folks. I can be the note taker for today's meeting. I think we can get started in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I just mentioned earlier I can volunteer to take the notes this time.
Okay, thank you, Sachi. Let me see. I think we can get started. So
Yeah.
I think the meeting record is starting, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. Before we start, so quick reminder, this meeting is governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct. So we are committing to have a respectful, inclusive, and a harness-free experience for everyone. So please be kind, construct, and supportive of each other. Please also remember meeting is going to be recorded and the public shared. So please use Zip chat to raise your hands or ask questions. Let me share the agenda. Give me 1 second. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Uh, Still not?
No, I don't see it.
Okay. Oh, I need to. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get started. So, yeah, thanks, Sachi, for taking notes. Some of your open talking. So let's start with order of the topics showing in this document. We have some brief discussion on renewal model and CPU inferences support. Maybe is attached here.
Yeah,
Maybe you can I think you have a PR, does it? Maybe we should just review that PR.
Yeah, the PR is out to updating the docs. There's
Oh,
no other changes needed. It's just a doc PR.
I think,
That one, to 1303.
yeah. Maybe you can quickly go through it. So,
Yeah, so this is basically what I demoed 2 weeks ago, I think.
mhm,
This adds AI kit built containers as a BYO option to
mhm,
KAITO for deployment. So this in the overview, I mentioned that, hey, this allows you to use the AI presets, but you can also use any basically model from Hugging Face. I mean, there's a asterisk, anything that's supported. And then aim for AI kit is basically to create a minimal image container with less vulnerabilities, attack surface. So those that familiar with Dalek, it's similar-ish to Dalek. And then in here we have the using a kind cluster as an example. And you just deploy the KAITO workspace controller, and then after that you can specify the image as an AI kit one. The main, I guess the one difference is that you have to specify the address to align with the KAITO's port, which is the 5000. And then I believe the 80 goes to 5000 for the default KAITO configuration. So that's different than AIK's default configuration, but you can obviously override the port to match the KAITO's configuration. And then I kind of briefly touch on hey, if you want to use the CPU as an instance type, you can also do that to either GPU provider or the Carpenter based provider to create a Azure or the AWS based queue. I think that is not covered in any of the other Kaito docs.
mm,
You should probably add something like that too, because I just learned it from two weeks ago that the GPU provisioner actually creates non-GPUs too. So I think that's one of the things, and that's basically I added like a brief thing that, hey, you can create your own image, and this is just like a breadcrumb. And then, but for more information, you should see the AI kit documentation.
yeah. Does anyone else have a question? Maybe I will ask some questions first. So for this one, is there any guidance or anything will work or it just work? Do we have any requirements? So maybe I guess any model that support this GGUF model ways, we can do that or
Yeah, anything that's for GGUF will do it. But then the way that local AI works is that it has a bunch of backends, and then depending on the model and then the model's format, it will keep trying those different backends, and it will fall back according to the backhand list. So, like for example, the
Mhm.
first one is Llama CPP, which uses the GGUF
Yeah,
model, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
say this matches Llama CPP. It will say, okay, I'm going to load this with Llama CPP. But then the next thing that local AI does is that I added in local AI was that it will also pick the most optimized CPU runtime. For example, if your CPU has AVX2 instruction set, then it'll pick that one based on the detection of the CPU capabilities. But if it's like an old CPU, it doesn't have AVX or AVX2, it'll like fall back to none of the instruction sets. They'll be slower, obviously, but it'll run. So similar logic applies for other models. Like it'll try to load whatever the format is, and if that format loads with that um, backend, say VLLM or Llama CPP, it'll just choose that one.
Sure. So a little bit deeper question is, then you have a strong version dependency with local AI releases, does it? Because
Yeah.
I want to understand how frequently do they update their, like VM version, like, Llama CVP version, because we used to have this, trouble to keep up with all the version upgrade with all the CV fixes. I just don't know how do they handle it? Do they do it every week or just on demand, or what is their strategy of
I don't know if they have like there's like a specific cadence, but it's extremely active. I usually lag behind their releases, like significantly lag behind. It is it's quite active to get new versions, but even if they don't have it, it has the ability to so you can also define your own backend to it too. It doesn't have to be like, hey, these are like the so they provide the like the predefined backends. But if you want to add your own backend without adding to the source, you can also do that. So it's extensible in that way.
Sure. So there's some other open question like this. So did you update this with with tree scan? If tree scan mark anything wrong with these images, are you going to update it, or do you have a pipeline of doing that, or just curious?
Yeah, so there is so that's one of the like the same thing as like the curated images, the presets for KAITO. So there is a pipeline that automatically updates that one using COBA.
Oh, use Koba. Okay, got you. Yeah. Any other guys? Any other people has any questions beside folks? Any questions? Please raise.
This feature is pretty good, and let's add a E2E test for this feature. Yeah, we can add a E2E test.
Yeah, so my intention was that we can merge this PR, and then I'll move the AI Kit repo under the KAITO project. I think that's what we talked about. And then but then I'll also need to update that the say images and whatnot from GHCR to KAITO project also. So like in this case, my name will be KAITO project. It will be replaced by KAITO project there. And then we can add E2E tests if you want. To have this workflow covered with KAITO E2E. And then you can run the KAITO E2E as part of the regular CI also. It should not need any approval. It'll just run on the GitHub's free architecture.
Yeah, I think that's good. So I don't see any problem. So to integrate this with current E2E framework, it's just another regular E2E test. But I like Qinghui's idea to add this to our E2E. So we plan to move this to KAITO org, and we are going to update our doc saying that okay, this is the way that we have a good way of supporting either CPU models. And the way, yeah, I'm just feel maybe we need to add more words for this. This looks very, very simple, but we can definitely enhance it because we probably have to say clearly more about how to do this with the customer model. I don't think you can do this for every model, right? So there are certain requirements for this.
Yeah, I think we can talk about like the specifics for the models. Technically, I mean, it should be pretty wide support. And then let me also phrase that. So AI Kit doesn't support all of local AI's backends. Because I added only a limited number of backends.
Yeah.
And so there'll be like the local AI's backends are a superset of AI Kit's one. But technically, local AI can do a lot more models. Because it also has capabilities, say like VLLM or
Yeah.
other ones too. So it's pretty extensive.
So yeah, that I would suggest. I guess you may mention. Let me see. Maybe you already mentioned this in your repo. Do you mention the limitation? I'm just thinking maybe we should move something, even duplicate something, some docs in KAITO stock. So instead of for some key limitations, so people doesn't have to jump here and there to find the relevant content. Did you
Yeah,
mention any of
definitely
the?
added. Can you add a comment to the thing? But yeah, that's a good point. I'll add it, say that something like, hey, on the formats that are GGAF. I think I added this comment.
Yeah, something
Can you
like
go
that.
back
Okay,
to
I will
the
add a comment.
comment, please? go all the way to the top. I think I added that one. Yeah, I put say a variety of supported formats such as GGOF, GPTQ, EXL2, and more.
Whatever. So it's up to you. I mean, you can say there are certain limitations here. Just
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I leave the comments. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
I have a couple questions here. Do we have any insights on which are the most commonly used CPU-based models with local AI?
So I curate some of them, but it can be any of them.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Sachi? So I have like a bunch of Llama ones, and then let me see. I think I have Gemma.
Have like telemetry from your GitHub, like GHCR to tell?
Kind of. Maybe let's see. That's a good idea. Yeah, Llama 3, Llama 2, Mixtral. Yeah, I think those are the main ones. But yeah, you can see the pool counts over here. It's all public.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Couple other questions. So as you said, it tries to load the different models, or local AI tries this on the various backend options. Have you seen that it can take like a certain amount of time on average to try all of those different backends?
Yeah, I mean it'll go through the list, but it's pretty fast that it'll like fall back. Because if something cannot load it, it's basically a fallback.
Do you know at what point in time it would fall back?
If it cannot like load the model, if it's not compatible, it says it. I can I'll have to like check on like the timings and whatnot, but it's pretty fast to fall back. It'll also like fall back if you say if you put the model name wrong, right? Say instead of I don't know Llama 2, you said Llama 4, whatever, right? And then it's because it just doesn't exist, that thing doesn't exist. So it'll go through all the backends to see if it would be fit for any of them. And at the end you get an error that's saying, hey, this is not found.
Okay, cool. Last question is, I guess this kind of leads to my last question on like production readiness of local AI, and then the different backend options that it leverages for specifically for CPU inference support.
I think it's dependent on how we do production ready. That's how we define production ready.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of an overarching question that I had, but it would guide how I guess we define like end-to-end tests in upstream, and if Faye has any like ideas here.
Yeah, I mean, I think local AI is backed by there's a startup. So I vaguely remember there's some service, public service that they're using local AI as backend.
So local AI you can also think about as a wrapper, right? So this is basically like wrappers.
Yeah,
of
it's just I know it's a wrapper. Yeah,
Yeah. So the Llama CPP would be the
runtime
there. Yeah, and then that they are backed by there's a lot of like a VC investment. There's a lot of companies that use Llama CPP, for example. This is the actual one of the I should say the backends that local AI uses.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for sharing. That's all my questions.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to put so any more questions? If no, we are going to move
I have a
one
question. I'm curious about the memory requirement for CPU inference. Take the GPU inference, for example. We usually, or it's very easy to hit the OOM issue. That's why we add a minimum memory requirement validation in our webhook to avoid this kind of issue. And for this kind of use case, how do you expect to avoid the OOM issue? We add a validation for those known GPU skills in our webhook. If user just put a random CPU node here, I think it may easily hit the OOM.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
question is formalized is in this example, do you need to set request?
Yeah, so in this case, there's no limits defined on the Kubernetes level, because that would be hard. So I mean, I would say the users would need to know that beforehand, that on a Kubernetes level.
But for in practice, do they know it somewhere?
So I think let me I'll have to double check on that one. For the local AI, I think we added a feature where the local AI would not load a model if it exceeds the threshold of the available VM or node. But obviously that's on the app level. And the Kubernetes level like the limit, I think that one is a bit harder to define.
But I think that's a pretty valid point. So can we have some guidance for people to find it out, or?
Oh, we can definitely have some,
Yeah, I think
but it'll be like, hey, they will say, hey, users can calculate this by, I don't know, getting the giga file size times whatever, and then you can calculate this. There are like calculators that can do this.
I think that's a very valid point, because so Bungie is trying to do this for GPU usages. I'm hoping we have some, maybe not so accurate model, but we can model the CPU memory usages. That's also. Have you done something such as I mean, your own benchmarking kind of thing to try it out?
So are we talking about the
CPU memory
calculation? So I just dropped like a calculator. This is like a very
Oh,
I just literally Googled it. So there
okay.
are calculators that can calculate this sort of stuff, but there's a I mean, we can definitely give guidance for like the curated ones, but if we are talking about the BYO ones, we can ask users to, hey, you can calculate this by using this calculator or whatever, right? And then you can add that to the Kubernetes limits. But as a general thing, it'll be hard to do this because we just don't know it, right? It could be anything in Hugging Face or anything like that.
Yeah, I see. Maybe we can just add a hint in this document. Let the user know they need to care about
So
this.
yeah, so Qinghui, can you
this-
drop a comment? I think it's a fail. Sataj, just add this link or whatever. Just give something.
Okay.
Tell people.
Yeah.
I think
Sounds good.
this is a practical.
Yeah.
This is a very practical request, because in general you should add in a request and limiting this spec.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, so it's just I think that it'll be something that users will need to do, especially for like a BYO things.
Of course, but
For the
we
curated ones, we can definitely provide that information somewhere.
Okay. Good.
Quick question. How does KAITO validate request limits for bring your own model today?
We don't, because same thing. It's like you provide prospect, so you need to
Right.
give these values.
Yeah. So same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. I was just like, it's just we need to have some, because we have a GPU equivalent for this. Same thing for GPU. So we probably also need to mention this in our bring your own model.
Yeah,
doc.
we should probably add it to both docs. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
both
it's a
docs,
general
yes.
problem for anything BYO. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Sachi, you want to bring the topic for Mac support?
Yeah, this was just made aware to me by a user recently. This is kind of like open for discussion on like what kind of scope would be, but essentially the idea was that like how could the GPU nodes be optimized within a Kubernetes cluster for different types of like AI jobs that are deployed. So if it's like a smaller scale like batch inference job that could be run on one MIG slice of a GPU and then the rest of it used for training, for example, or just different inference job sizes deployed to the same GPU? Like, the question here is, do we need to maintain a single pod to node ratio? And what are like the tangible like use cases that users would want to that would have realistically for optimizing their more costly or less available like GPUs?
So my thought process is if you use KAITO's NAP, if we create a node, so usually the assumption is people will give you a skill that suits your workload. And especially the one that KAITO is dealing with are models that requires most likely going to use the entire GPU resource. The mag request wouldn't be a lot for that use case, but for the cases, if you, as Rita mentioned, so if you want to say for bring your own node case, in those cases, maybe the mag request is going to come into the picture because maybe the user already has a GPU which is pretty big, and they want to use KAITO to run some small GPU, small models in those GPU, and the assumption or the expectation is those big GPU can host multiple KAITO workspaces. That is use case that I can think of. Whether how to we certainly can do that, but it's like if when we prepare the deployment spec, we can put resource limit with mag in it. So hopefully, and we still can add node affinity, if any, and hopefully the scheduler will do the job to schedule the part to the node. And my understanding is it's doable. There are probably some nuance here and there we need to tweak, but technically doable. Qinghui, or Ernest, do you have any concern or for supporting this?
Did a quick search and it looks like VLM doesn't even support make in the first place.
Okay.
So yeah, in terms of KAITO, if we're positioning VLM as our primary inference engine or inference runtime, then I think we should expect users to provide like.
So just correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think VM needs to understand mag. Do they need to understand? Is it purely? Let me think about it. Does VM
So they
need to understand?
explicitly say it doesn't support it. It's essentially just considering a slice of a GPU as an entire
Yeah,
GPU
because if
slice.
we just expose that slice into the container, I don't know. I'm just imagination. Imagine what am I?
Yeah, I'm also feeling VRM should support it. It's not the VRM issue.
Did you see
We-
that? Ernest somewhere saying
With
everyone say
MIG,
VRM
we
doesn't
will
support that?
just set the visible GPU to VRM. I think they will support it. I don't know. I didn't try it.
Yeah, the GitHub issue might be a little bit outdated, so I think it's part of worth giving it a try.
Oh,
Yeah.
you saw? Okay.
Posted in the chat, but it is like a year old.
Oh, year
So,
old. Okay.
yeah. So yeah. I can give it a try. But it's just gonna spend like 30 minutes and see if it even works with the smallest model we offer. And I can report back, Sachi.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. Thanks. And I think also if given like the smallest but still like high performing model that would be used in this case, then like it only makes sense then.
Yeah,
If
the thing that I can think
realistically
of
it can't
is
even be deployed to like a slice of a GPU, then it's not it's a non-starter.
yeah. So my understanding is maybe 5.4 mini in A100. So let's see if you can deploy 5 to or 6, 5.4 mini to one A100. So that may be the thing that we can try. And we may figure out what are the changes we need to make in KAITO's runtime to support this.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Ernest, your turn. So you have a few things to.
Yeah,
Which
I just
link do you
want
want to click?
to. The first one is the LMD 0.2 release. Just want to share for visibility because I think they just released it yesterday or today. It has a couple of interesting takes, and they also show or showcase the result of the community surveys that they recently did. And it has some pretty useful informations like what are people using, like what kind of GPUs people are using for inference, and do they use RDMA? What kind of models are you running? Like things like that. So it's worth a read. So it's just for visibility. We probably don't have enough time to review everything here. But yeah, one interesting thing I saw is model preference, which shows that 73% of the people who took the survey preferred Llama, 63% preferred Quinn, and 56 for Mistral. So, these three models we all supported.
This one? Oh, here.
Yeah. So it's worth a read. Just want to share for visibility.
Yeah, it's surprised that Llama have the largest users. Because I thought the performance of Llama is not very good.
Yeah, it's probably popularity, I would say. It might not perform the best, but it's probably one of the most popular models out there.
Sometimes, when I see this, I really want to know the absolute number. What is 73%? I want to see that absolute number. Okay, anyway.
Oftentimes, what I've heard actually recently is that users, if they're balancing like performance versus speed, they will choose speed over like slightly degraded performance if that's something they can iterate on, especially at scale.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
NSL, that's that's superb. I mean, if anyone has an SL defined, I'm really curious what is SL. Okay.
Do they have some result about the most popular NVIDIA SKU, like A100 or
I don't think so.
H100? Because
I don't
we
think-
still use V100 in our E2E test. They are deprecated, but they say there are a lot of users are using the P4 GPU. I don't know.
And
I'm
what
curious
you
which
have
one is the
access to,
most popular.
and also what you have access to, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like you might want to use H100, but you're not going to get it.
Per GPU throughput, per user output speed.
Yeah, so this one is,
H-
I think, just a benchmark
H2
comparing this
Do you
aggregated serving.
Do you understand this? I'm trying to understand this figure. What does it mean?
Yeah, so it's basically showing this aggregated topology is performing better than co-locating prefill and decode together. So the orange line is the current way KAITO is deploying models, and the green line is separating prefill and decode, and it's like consistently beating the orange line. And the number, like the number besides the dots are, I believe, requests per second. So basically, like sending like 128 requests per second to the endpoint, and compare how many output and input tokens.
Yeah. I would say the PD architecture would be better if you have a more GPU nodes for yeah, you can see it's just a 17B model and use 8 H200 hard nodes.
The
The
17B,
throughput the
yeah,
throughput would be better than the traditional co-located PD architecture.
So what does it mean? So you have a higher per GPU throughput.
Yeah,
The
you can see there
highest per
are
GPU with the
four
with the smallest per
P
user output. I just don't understand what is this.
4PTP2 2D.
We
4
measure
TB.
the throughput scaling, tokens per user and the tokens per second. Oh, increase
I
concurrency.
think this diagram want to show us the PD architecture is better. The throughput is better than
Oh,
the
okay. So I'm guessing the
traditional
number is the
one.
concurrency level, right? I'm guessing this 512 means you have 512 concurrent level.
Yeah,
I see. So you have a lot of concurrency, then the per user. Okay, I don't think this line really matters a lot, but I do understand this part. Okay, the
Yeah.
y-axis I understand. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing this. It's very interesting. So this is what is this? This is a blog or release notes? Oh, okay, this is a blog post.
Yeah. Release note / blog post.
Interesting. Cool, very cool. Okay. Second one, do you have something else to show? This one?
No, that's just
Just it?
the
Okay.
model preference. Yeah, that's it.
You said you have demo or no?
Yeah, I can leave it to the end.
Yeah. Okay, I leave some time for you. Next one, Heba. So okay.
Hi, just heads up that I have addressed all the feedback we discussed last time, and
Okay.
the proposal is ready for another round of review. So just I wanted to add it here for heads up for everyone.
Okay. Let's give a few minutes to take a quick. So can you tell us what is major change? So where to look at the major changes? Maybe save.
Yeah. So the main actually two main feedbacks. The first one is we need to just focus on a specific command and implement it, and then we can add more feature in the future. And this is why I just added everything related to deploy command only, which is how to deploy
This one?
workspace. Yes.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which how to deploy workspace in different like to support all the APIs we have right now in KAITO to deploy workspace with like a preset model, like different adapters and stuff like that. The second command that I proposed is list all supported model since we already have the all supported model in YAML5 right now. So I think we can just like use the same file to display all the supported model. It should be easy. It shouldn't be hard. Yeah, and the second feedback actually was from Sirtag, and I really liked it, which is if we can support the chat, if we can get the KAITO, the model to like to be able to chat with the model using the CLI. So I did some research and actually try to just propose this command, which is a chat command. It might take a little bit work, but I think Olam already did really great work. Thanks for the pointer, Sertaj. So I proposed it as well. That's it.
Yeah, I like this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this. This is pretty cool.
So as a conclusion, the proposal now actually will have only 4 commands. Deploy with all different options that the KAITO API supports right now. get endpoint, which basically once the workspace is ready, we can just retrieve the endpoint for the user, and the chat, and get
So to be honest, I like this. This is the one that we must implement. I'm going to use it right away.
Yeah, Sertaj always, like get to the point. I know. So actually, I like it. I would love to implement it. Like I'm very eager actually to implement it. So yeah, please, like give it, like if you just have time to review the proposal. If you have any feedback, please let me know. Happy to address all the feedback, and if everything is okay, I think we can start to have like a new repo under KAITO project for the CLI.
Yeah, my preference. This is top priority. Let's do this first.
Okay, let's add it as P0. Sure.
Okay, and anyone else has any?
Yeah, just was gonna say thanks for the great updates here. It might have been addressed in the proposal in the case that I missed it, but does this KAITO CLI in the first release support, like, I guess, bring your own model if you were able to like pull up or get the endpoint for a model that's not a preset?
That should be okay, because you see,
Yeah.
this is how I just take the input, which is a workspace. I mean, I'm guessing the underlying mechanism is from here. You can get
Exactly.
the service, and as long as we follow OI compatible API, and
Yeah.
just work.
Yeah, we have the endpoint, so we will just, like basically it's just, like make it, perform 2 commands on behalf of the user to get the chat ready for them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I really like this because this hides all the details of starts and another parts in the same cluster, and
Yeah.
starts another curl command. I mean,
Yeah.
if this can hide that, it's going to be super, super cool. Because make sure, however, with this, you don't require people to expose the service to public, right? You still can have in-class service, but you can do it.
Yeah, it's the same. Everything's the same, like
Same,
the
okay,
yeah.
yeah, that's the thing, because you're not exposing that service out. It's just you just using this stuff to hide all the details of vistas and other parts to do in-class communication. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Let's
My
move on.
question is, when do we get the deploy plus chat?
When do
So
we?
Yeah, like what are the timeframes are you thinking?
For having this implemented?
Yeah.
Okay, like I can get back to you with some estimates, but yeah, of course. Let me think about it, and I can get back to you next meeting or
yeah, I
sooner
think
than
once
that.
this PR is, if this is checking, maybe whenever you have a POC, you can show us. Maybe whenever you are ready, maybe next meeting or whatever.
Yeah, sure. It shouldn't take much time, but let me get back to you to be a little bit precise.
And in the PR, can you also add what's in scope, what's out of scope too?
This is in scope, if I understand.
Yes, as I mentioned, the in scope is the 4 commands.
Yeah, you just mention it in the PR too, so just
I will,
we have it
of course,
documented. Yeah.
of course, yeah. Sure.
Cool.
Thank you.
Let me see what's next. So I think it's on it.
Oh, yeah, just a PSA to everyone. I've cleaned up a lot of stale branches in KAITO projects, and would like to ask everyone to fork the KAITO repository instead of creating branches directly there. So yeah, thanks for doing that.
Okay. Let me see previous meeting.
Sorry, are we able now to run the pipelines while creating branch from our forks?
Yes. We
Oh,
should.
perfect.
Let me see. Next meeting, is there anything very important? Okay, head up will be covered. Honest, do you have something to talk about the gateway API?
No, but I'm planning to show a demo, so I'll cover that during the demo.
Yeah, I want to make sure to give you enough time. So 15 minutes left. John, do you want to mention anything?
Yeah. Also, just want to clarify the proposed solution for this issue on labeling the preferred nodes. So I worked on this with Ernest, and we decided, or we had an initial implementation to say that if the node is not labeled, but it's in the preferred node list, we'll include it. And there are some comments, but I wasn't really sure how to proceed. So I was hoping we could get some clarification or consensus on that.
I remember. Okay, this one.
Could probably click and open up what people are saying.
Listen, so let me see.
Yeah, NAP is node auto provisioning, right? No, I wasn't really sure what the context was, so wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so my idea is, so because the issue is about configuration. So the reporter prefer to have a Helm option to change the behavior. So if you go with Helm, so which means most likely you are adding the controller startup arguments like a feature gate. So to use that feature gate to change the behavior of our controller is essentially the webhook. So some of the idea is going to be if you have a feature gate, say NAP is disable NAP, something like that. I haven't come up with a name. So if that is the case in our webhook, we should clearly make sure at least the whatever the counts the count matches the thing that you put in the preferred node list, because that is just a name. You probably also need to verify the node has to exist, and in running state, something like that. You need to have additional checks in the webhook. Because the assumption of turn off NAP is like we don't have fallback. So if preferred nodes doesn't work, the entire workspace just 100% is going to be not ready or pending or whatever. So that's the thing that we need to let people know it. Fail earlier in the validation stage. So if the node has any problem, which is making the node not in a healthy state, we should point out when we create or deploy the workspace. So that's the idea. Is this clear?
Okay, so does this mean that we want to we're proposing like a new feature or something?
Yeah, feature gate.
Okay, so this is sort of branching off from the initial
yeah, it's pretty different. Yeah.
Okay, so for the node validation and stuff, is that something we already have, or are you saying we need to do that?
We need to add that because currently we don't have because prefer node is a prefer as name suggests. So we didn't validate it in our webhook because our assumption is those nodes may not be the one that we use. That nodes can be in any state. That nodes can be down, even down, because you just give us the name, right? User just give the name. But if NAP is turned off, we need to do, because no fallback. If the node is bad, the workspace definitely will just fail. We need to point out this earlier.
Okay, so as far as the labeling goes, then if you bring your own nodes, in what case do we want to
I think we can still keep the label stuff. So I mean, it's okay. We ask people to have a label. This is my understanding. And no one is going to complain. They don't want to spend time to add a label.
I thought that was what the issue was about, right?
No, because
Or
you didn't have the decision either automatic label, right? So see if one is not fieldable, minimum return node not found immediately when preferred node is no matching label, or even the preferred node has some problems.
So
Well, I guess we understand the issue in a different way because the user asked why we need to label prefer node, and we kind of figured, oh, that might be a
Yeah, because
but
what I was focusing is what they want, is what solution that you'd like.
okay. Because the user did mention confusing, like he said it's confusing that we have to label the nodes in
yeah.
prefer node. So
I
that's why
think
we're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
maybe we can just skip that.
check the feedback here, especially this one. I propose add a new field in Helm chart.
okay. So I guess when I saw the issue, I wasn't really too clear on why we needed the label on the node. For the
I do feel we need it because for the reasons that I mentioned. I feel it's a pretty native way for people. I mean, in Kubernetes for grouping resources, we use the labels to grouping resources in almost everywhere.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, so if we decide we're gonna do that, is it fair to say we can close this
You can
issue?
just close it. You can just close the
Open
old
and
one and just
follow up.
create a new.
Yeah, okay. So we can close this issue, and then the thing you mentioned about the
I
NAP.
mean, you can close your PR, just start a new PR, just fix this issue. I think that's okay.
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 That sounds good.
Not much time, so maybe I should give time for Ernest if you have a demo. Anything, maybe just quick words from Rita. Do you want to mention something about this MCP alarm extension?
Yeah, it should be a yes, quick thing. I think Abhishek is working on the MCP headlamp extension. I think it might make sense to put that under KAITO. So what do you other
You are
maintain-
thinking a new repo?
Yeah, like the KAITO headlamp extension repo, but for MCP servers. And the reason for this is to give users end-to-end.
Let's see what you mean here. So you mean here we have something like we already have this
Like
one.
the headlamp one, but for
Yeah.
MCP.
Yeah, it
So
would be called
this will be-
headlamp MCP catalog or something like that.
Yeah.
So you are saying that we add another thing here, right? Not a new repo.
No, a new
No,
repo.
no.
Oh, new repo. Oh, okay. Why
Would
not
it mix?
here? Just curious, why not put things here? Because
This is a new extension. It's not the same extension.
oh, okay, a new extension.
Yeah, I think when Abhishek demoed it on the other call, he showed it under KAITO. I think he just added just so it's easier. But yeah, the idea is to create a net new extension because
You
it's
have
not
an
specific
you have
type
an
of
idea
headlamp.
what the name of the extension is going to be Headlamp MCP?
Yeah, headlamp MCP catalog or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's fine.
It's to help drive traffic to KAITO.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I'm okay with it. Anyone has any
Sounds good.
opinion?
Yeah, it doesn't touch KAITO core. This is just
I understand. Totally.
around
It
it.
enhances KAITO because it can
Yeah,
add.
yeah, I just don't. I just not sure why not here, but I got an answer. So this is a KAITO plug extension.
That's right.
That was opinionated KAITO.
I see. Okay, fair enough. And it's only 5 minutes. I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway.
5 minutes. 5 minutes
Yeah.
is enough.
Okay.
Could you unshare screen so I can share?
I'm going to stop sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So last week I did some benchmarking on gateway inference extension with KAITO. So gateway API inference extension is something I'm working on to integrate with KAITO. So I want to make sure we get the desired performance gain from using it. So just a refresher of what gateway API inference extension is. So on the right, we have KAITO workspace. And what I did was I increased the replica of VLLM deployments from 1 to 6. So we have 6 VLLM serving the model. And I have a benchmarking tool on the left here. So traditionally, without the inference extension, someone would create a service on the top right and just use label selector to select all 6 VLLM servers to serve your inference requests. And as you all know, servers use some sort of round robin techniques to choose which endpoints to route the traffic to. So it can be like random. My first inference request could land in the first pod. The second one could land in like the 5th pod, and so on. So what the gateway API inference extension is a set of custom resource and controllers that helps users or help us choose the best inference endpoint to serve specific requests. So on the top bottom left here, we have a new custom resource called inference pool, which behaves kind of like a service, Kubernetes service which uses label selector to select a set of pods. And in addition to that, there's a new component called endpoint picker, which is itself another service and a gRPC deployment that kind of keep tracks of all the metrics, all the available VLLM metrics that all VLLM pods offers. And that way it can help us, the endpoint picker will be responsible for picking the best endpoint to serve a particular traffic from the gateway. So that's what the inference extension is about. This is a bonus architecture that I made. If you've ever used ChatGPT, I'm sure you know there is some sort of dropdown that lets you choose different models. So for example, like GPT-4o is great for most of the tasks, and the O3 and O4 minis are good at reasoning. So, and I just want to show that this is also part of the Gateway API inference extension. One of the problems that they're trying to solve is given a single gateway endpoint, how do you serve different type of model under the same gateway? And the solution to that is what they call body-based routing. So on the right here, I have an example OpenAI chat payload, and part of the payload, the user will have to specify what model they want to route to. So in this case, I want to route to GPT 3.5, for example. And what the body-based routing does is basically extracting that model from the payload and kind of inject it into the HTTP request header. And that will leverage the one of the native gateway API functionality, which is routing based on header. So in the middle, we have some flow diagram, which basically explained that, if the user want to route to a specific model, say model A, it will go through body-based routing to extract the model name from the body and then put it in the header, and then use Gateway API to route based on header. So that's the 2 main components that the inference extension introduced. Yeah, so last week I did some benchmarking. And I just want to quickly go over how I did the benchmarking. So I used Llama 3.1 8 billion model. I manually increased it to 6 replicas. Each replica has its own H100. I use Istio gateway because that's one of the few gateways that's compatible with inference extension. I use the benchmarking Python script from VLLM. Each request generates 10,000 random input tokens and output 1,000 random output tokens. And part of benchmark is I specified 10,000 prompts. So the whole benchmark will send 10,000 prompts to the gateway. There are also some acronyms I introduced. One of them is request per second. So what that means is the benchmarking tools will send a certain number of requests per second to the gateway. So say if it's like 200 RPS, that means every second it will send 200 requests to the gateway until it reaches 10,000 prompts. The second one is the P99 request latency, which is basically the end-to-end minus start time of a particular request. From the moment the benchmark tool press send, and by the time you receive a complete output. And P99 is making sure the data falls within 99% of the distribution. Here's the result. For the light blue, is using Kubernetes service, which uses round robin. So it doesn't really care about how saturated the server is, prefix cache, KV cache. It doesn't really care about those. So it can just serve a request in pod A, and then the subsequent request will get served in pod B. Second benchmark or second way of doing it is through the inference extension. So inference pool plus endpoint picker to pick the best inference endpoint based on metrics. And as you can see, as we increase the QPS, the service is not performing as good as the Gateway API inference extension, because Gateway API inference extension is aware of VLLM metrics like how many requests is waiting in the queue, how much KV cache it has, or how much KV cache is used or is freed up for the next request. So we can see around like 10 to 20% decrease in request latency. So I think this is probably something we should have, especially when we consider things like auto-scaling, where we will start having multiple replicas of VLLMs inference servers. So I think it's currently the best time for us to integrate inference extension into KAITO. Any questions?
Yeah, it's super cool. So do you know what are the metrics they consider for routing? Just the queue length and the KV cache availability? That's it?
Yeah, so right now there are a number of plugins. So if we go back to this architectural diagram, it actually follows a similar scheduling framework as the Kubernetes scheduler. So first is like filtering and then scoring and then picking. And different metrics has different scorers. So for example, pod A can have a higher score because it has less requests queued up. And
So
pod
what
B,
are the options we can tune here? So what are the options we can tune?
what are the options? So recently they have a lot of refactoring work done upstream, and I can send you a link
So
on.
can we find out which metrics play the most important role here? It's like, is the queue length is the one that give you the best results, or I just want to understand. So because this metrics should also guide us for auto scaling, metrics to
Yeah.
consider.
I can send a link to the chat.
This is super cool. So because
Yeah.
I mean, you can just do some quick experiments to test which metrics play the most important role here.
Right. So yeah, I just sent a link to the chat. There are a number of scorers, filters, plugin that you can use, but there are only like 2 to 3 main metrics. So queue length, GPU memory usage, and they also have their own implementation of prefix caching. So it's best for things like multi-turn conversations or really long system prompt. So lots of options and a really pluggable interface where I can just turn off certain plugin and just restart the pod, and it'll just be in effect within like 5 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, I really want to see whether that queue length is the most important one, because if that is the case, that kind of feature proof our design. I mean, we use queue length to guide the auto scaling.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Did you turn on the
okay, Qinghui, please.
Did you turn on the prefix aware routing plugin in this test?
Yeah, I did, but I think the benchmarking tool is not doing a lot of prefix caching. Like it's not having a lot of.
Because I can see you just generate some random input
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your test. They won't share much prefix here.
Mhm. Yes, that's
Oh.
correct.
Yeah, I don't know whether there's some multi-turn chat data set.
I mean, this is like all the
The
benchmarking.
benchmark.
Yeah, we need to we need to find out some representative patterns. That's very standard way of doing benchmarks. So and people always start with random because it's the simplest one. I think I don't know. Do we have any traces? It's like traditional, very traditional architecture benchmarking. We got some real life traces. I don't know whether we have some traces for questions in AMLand. So if so, maybe we can consider change the benchmark somehow. Yeah, again, this is part of a benchmark problem that Banshee should help or work on this. But I like the way that you're doing I mean, the test framework is super helpful. I think we can use this to do a lot of testing. And the result seems promising. 20% latency reduction just by playing with the routing is very, very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess one thing to note is we're not going to see a lot of benefits when there's only like 1 or 2 users. I think we're
Okay.
going to see, we're going to see real
Okay.
benefits when they're like when it's near saturation. So that's one of the mistakes I make, which is looking at the wrong metrics when I'm doing benchmark. So but yeah, I think for this particular one, I don't think.
I mean, I like this, I like this flat line, right? See that flat line. I mean, the
Yeah.
flat, the gateway, you got almost flat for the latency. Even
Yeah.
you increase the QPS.
Sartash.
Yeah, I was wondering if Gateway API, I guess inference extension has the thing that I mentioned in the chat, like some sort of instead of body-based routing, it routes based on the prompts, maybe. Do you know anything that has that in Gateway API? That might be a good differentiation if it doesn't have that.
Isn't that just like mixture of expert, like similar to it, where based on the prompt, it will just route to different set of neurons?
No, I was more thinking like, say, I don't know, a lot of users are asking for basic questions versus like, say, some of them are doing more like a thinking models. So like,
Yeah.
hey, does this does this prompt need thinking? If so,
Yeah.
then route to the more heavy models, right? Or if it's a basic question that can be answered without thinking, then route to more cheaper models, say the non-thinking one, say Phi or Llama, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of like a decision making in the process instead of just, hey, it's the user is saying I need to send this to Llama, whatever, and I'm going to send this to the most available Llama instance.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's just another extension for the scheduler, right? It's just has another scheduling plugin to consider the purpose.
Yeah.
And use that to drive. But do you think from API perspective, Ernest, do you think the inference pool API can tell you what kind of this characteristic of this model can provide? What does this model strong at or something like that? It's like we need to know this model is good at reasoning, this model is good at chat or whatever. Do you think the inference pool API can expose that already or not?
No, I think that's out of scope. I think
Okay.
yeah. And to answer your question, Sartash, I think it's kind of hard to determine whether a prompt needs thinking or not. Like I saw some posts earlier where someone asked a really simple questions to a thinking model, and it just took like 9 hours to think. So it's really up to the users whether. So I think it's the user's choice to choose, like this screenshot, for example. Like it's their responsibility to choose which model they want to use, and
Yeah,
we'll
so I
route
think
based on that.
GPT-5 is going to do like the auto thing that where it can use the full GPT-5 or like go for like a mini model. Like also Perplexity does it, for example. They have like this
Right.
auto option, and then they choose based on whatever criteria, I don't know. And obviously user can override that choice, but that it can determine based
see.
on question, maybe. I don't know the criteria.
I think, yeah, I think that's worth discovering or worth looking into. And if it is feasible, that's just another endpoint picker or just another plugin, right? So
Yeah, okay.
the-
Let's
the-
have a time check. We already 10 minutes past. So Rita, you raise a hand. Maybe last question for you. We should.
I just want to piggyback on like just maybe something like speculative decoding might also be useful here, where it's different from routing between the models, but you could also leverage how I guess VLM has this capability to let you pick the model, but the model can use another model, a smaller model. I was reading it this weekend. It's actually really interesting. Like basically the heavyweight model can route or delegate to the smaller model. And if the smaller model does a good job, it will just use it and it will return really quickly. But then if it doesn't do a good job, then the bigger model will take over and obviously it will take longer, but it actually helps in terms of overall tokens per second. So that's also something we should definitely look into.
You have a link for the doc that
Huh?
you are. You have a link for the
I
doc
put it in the chat. I
Oh,
can
you
put
put it in
it.
the chat already? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can also put it in the notes.
Yeah, put in notes, please.
Yeah, but the good thing is it's already in VLM, so users can just bring the configuration. So it's not something KAITO needs to expose necessarily, but the users will need to know the knobs.
Okay, time check. So really, we passed 12
Makes
minutes, so I think we should stop right now. Feel free to leave any notes in our docs. And if no more questions, thanks everybody. We end today. See you next week. Bye bye.
see ya.
Yeah.